you very much. How's everybody doing? My name is Coach Mike Morgan. As Coach said, I'm the Director of Strength and Conditioning at Jefferson High School here in Northeast Georgia. And I'm going to share my screen right now. Coach, if you could enable me the ability to share my screen, please.
Of course.
And then I will take you through some tips getting ready for this showcase. And, you know, in Georgia here, things are opening up. And I just saw somebody say that Florida is opening up youth sports. So we got a lot to consider as we go back in it and make sure that we don't just, you know, jump right into the deep end, that we protect our bodies and make sure that we are progressing back into sports properly so that when the showcase comes around and the rest of the season comes around, that we're healthy in order to do so.
Perfect, Coach. There you are.
All right, here we go. Screen. All right, you guys can see it? Perfect. All right, so just very quick about me. I just started here at Jefferson High School in the beginning of January. I am from New York, so if you can't understand the way I talk, that is why. But I spent my coaching career jumping around through different colleges at all different levels. University of Rhode Island, where I got my degree in exercise science. I made some stops at the College of Holy Cross up in Worcester, Massachusetts. Springfield College in Springfield, Massachusetts is where I was a grad assistant and got my master's in strength and conditioning. American International College is a D2 school in Springfield, Massachusetts that I was in charge of their football team while I was there. I spent some time at UMass Amherst up there in Massachusetts. And then most recently, I spent 4.5 years at the Citadel, where I worked with all sports, but specifically I spent 4.5 years with the women's soccer team. So I don't know if anybody has ever heard of the Citadel. If you have or you're interested in there, let me know. But chances are you're probably a little more familiar with our SoCon, for me, foes, our Furmans, our Woffords, Mercers, that we played in that conference there. So when we return to sports, we do have some considerations, and heat acclimatization is going to be a big one, especially down here in the Southeast. You know, last time we were outside was March, and we had a pretty cool spring. And then, you know, today it's going to be 80 degrees, and the rest of the week it looks like it's going to be 80, which is awesome. But if you've been training indoors, inside in the air conditioning, and all of a sudden you go outside and 80 degrees doesn't seem like much normally, but it's going to be a little bit of a shock to us. So we need to make sure that we prepare ourselves for that, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. I have on here prehab, and I'll go into detail more, but when I say prehab, I'm talking about mini bands and core exercises that we can do to protect ourselves. Plyometrics, and specifically our landing mechanics, speed and agility, strength training, and our fitness. And these are all things that we want to make sure that we are checking the boxes for as we get ready to make our return to sports, and specifically the showcase tournament.
Hey, Coach.
So, yes.
Wait, one sec. So with you being host now, there's going to be participants wanting to join. I think we have several people trying to join in.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
Admit.
You just have to check it every so often.
Oh, all right. I've never been a host on here, so I didn't know about that. Sorry.
You're fine.
There we go. Boom. All right. And back to the PowerPoint. So when I talk about heat acclimatization, part of it is, like I said, we just have to get outside, and it doesn't have to be anything specific. Some of it might just be out in your yard playing, you know, with your younger siblings, out there doing yard work, helping your parents out or whatever. Obviously, we want to get outside and do some soccer training and some fitness out there, but there's more than just, hey, I spent 30 minutes outdoors, I'm good to go, because I'm pretty sure when you're out for the showcase, you're going to be outside a little bit longer than that. And when we get outside into the heat, not only do we have to adjust to it, but we need to make sure that we are hydrated. Okay, that sounds obvious, but the biggest thing is make sure that you always have an Nalgene on you at all times. You guys can't see my screen, but I got mine right here. You know, I can give you all these fancy formulas about hydration and your body weight and this, that, and the other thing, but it doesn't matter if you don't have access to water all the time. So carry your Nalgene around. I know that now we're probably not supposed to be filling up at random water fountains. I wouldn't recommend it even if they let me, but I'm going to make sure that I have water and access to it at all times, even when I'm in my house. You know, have that Nalgene by me so I remind myself to drink. But otherwise, you know, the day will go on, hours go by, a couple Netflix shows will go through, and all of a sudden I'll realize that I haven't drank any water. So make sure you're always keeping your Nalgene by you at all times. And then right here, the simplest way I like to talk about hydration is this chart. And I know it sounds weird that I'm talking about urine, but just make sure that you know, it's clear. You know, if there's dark colors like on the scale, then you need to drink more water. I think that that is the simplest way to make sure that we're staying hydrated, and just carrying your Nalgene around and making sure that, you know, it's clear or mostly clear right there. Next topic right here. So some general recommendations. One thing I'm not going to do is go into specific, you got to do this exercise, that exercise, but I can give you good general recommendations. And here are some training schedules. So on the left side there, it says beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And that's usually what we talk about. But part of this might be, you know, hey, I kind of took some time off during COVID. You know, I'm not really a beginner, but I can't go from 0 to 100. So I need to start off with and ease myself back into the schedule. So my prehab, my mini bands, and my core exercises, I want to be doing those daily. We talk about plyos and specifically working on my landing mechanics, making sure that when you land, your knees are in line with your toes. Some speed and agility, SIQ, speed and agility, quickness, just so it fit in that box. We have strength training and we have fitness right there. And I'll break these down each day by day. So if you're a beginner or you haven't really been consistent over the past couple weeks, just be honest with yourself. All right. I'm going to look at a training schedule kind of like this. On Mondays, I like to do my plyos and my speed and agility together. And then I have a total body lift. Simple, but effective. You know, 45 minutes will go a long way, especially if you've been doing zero. I'm not saying you got to be out there for 3 hours a day by any means. Just being consistent is what is most important. On Tuesdays, I get some fitness in. On Wednesdays, I get some recovery or some light soccer skills in. On Thursdays, I go back into my plyos, speed and agility, and then total body strength training. And if you don't have access to weights, body weight will do the trick for now. Just like I said, you know, doing something consistently is much better than doing nothing. And then on Fridays, I would be doing my fitness again. All right. If I am intermediate or I've been fairly consistent with my training, then I can look at more of a schedule like this where Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm getting some plyometrics, some speed and agility, and some total body lifting in, some strength training in, body weight if I need to, wall sits will do the trick for the time being until we can get back in the weight room. And then fitness on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And if I've been hardcore, I've been sticking to a training schedule for real, then this might be something I might look into. Plyos, speed and agility, and a lower body emphasis lift on Mondays. Tuesdays, some upper body strength training and some fitness. Wednesdays, I say recovery and fitness on Saturday. On Thursdays, I get my plyos, speed and agility, and lower body strength training in. On Fridays, I get my upper body and my fitness in. If you were advanced before and you took some time off, then start at beginner and take your time with that schedule. It's better to undercook a steak and then put it in the oven just a little bit extra to finish it than to overcook it, but you can't undo that steak. I don't know if any of you cook, but I personally like steak, and there's nothing worse than an overdone steak. You don't want to overdo it at first, right? Ease yourself into it, and being consistent and patient initially will set you up for success in the long run. And I get it. We've been out 2 months. I'm dying to get back. I didn't want to be a strength coach behind a computer screen by any means, but when we get back in the weight room, we're going to have to, you know, training is going to look a little bit different than it did before until we get our feet back under us. And like I keep saying, ease into it and protect yourself. I love the highly motivated, over-enthusiastic student athlete, but if we go from 0 to 100, again, we're going to be setting ourselves up for failure and potential injury. And right now, what I'm going to put up here is not meant to scare anybody. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if we think back to 2011, I know some of you were probably in like kindergarten at that time. The NFL had a lockout, and they had a 17-day training camp, and they just went right to it. And generally speaking, in the NFL, on average, Achilles tendon in tears happen 6 to 10 players throughout the whole season. And in the first 12 days, there were 7 tears after the lockout because they went from 0 to 100 and didn't ease back into it. And again, we're comparing apples to oranges. It's different, but it's still a good reminder of just slow cooking it, and taking our time and sticking to a schedule where we ease into it, and every week we add a little bit more. I'm still adding people, by the way, Coach.
You're fine.
All right. So just keep that in mind. Just remember that. Some other tips. Dynamic warm-up. I've seen our soccer team's dynamic warm-up. It's phenomenal. I'm pretty sure that your coaches have a good dynamic warm-up that you do before practice. Nobody likes to warm up, but it's something you have to do. And especially now, it's more important than ever than before you start your training, get your dynamic warm-up in. Again, it takes 5 minutes, and then that's it. But 5 minutes will go a long way in protecting your bodies from injuries. When I talk about core training, abs, the core's job is to resist. So I'm not saying you're wrong for doing crunches, but the majority of your core training should consist of resisting movement. So front plank, side plank, hollow body hold, if you know what that is. Anything that resists movement, because when you're on the field, we're not crunching. We're trying to resist the defender and keep our body stable. So that's how we want to train our core. And the more stable our core is, the more that will protect our knees from those ACL injuries that you see. But there's a good correlation between core strength and protecting our knees. Like I said earlier with plyometrics, focus on landing mechanics. I don't care how high you jump if you land with your knees buckling in. Majority of those knee injuries happen when somebody is landing, not when somebody is taking off. So that we want to make sure that we are focusing on our landing. And when I said 2 or 3 days a week, all it takes is 1 to 2 exercises, 2 to 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps. Keep it low and keep it focused on the landing mechanics. That, I promise, will help you more than doing some crazy box jump that's an Instagram highlight, but your knees are inside your toes and your knees are up at your ears and all that stuff. That's not how we're going to be playing our sports. At least I hope not. Here's another thing. Strength training. Some people, I think we're doing a pretty good job of getting everybody on board. I know at Jefferson we are. Strength is not going to make you bulky. Strength will protect you. It's a good indicator of being protected from injuries. If you're strong, you can resist those forces. Now you have to be athletic as well. Otherwise, we just all train like power lifters. We know that's not the answer. But being strong through a full range of motion will help protect your body. And like I said, strength, just 3 to 4 sets of 5 to 8 reps. It's nothing crazy, but being consistent with it will go a long way. And I know we like high reps. We think getting toned, but getting strong will help protect our bodies, and it will not make you bulky, I promise. The next thing I want to talk about is daily routines, because I can tell you all this great stuff, and we know all this stuff probably, but we have to actually put it into action. All right, so here's what I like to say about daily routines and why they're important. Making decisions is tiring. If I have to get up each day and decide, whether or not I'm going to work out, when I'm going to work out, what I'm going to do, where I'm going to work out with, there's all these things that it's just easier to say, hey, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to sit on the Netflix and hang out. All right. Motivation, even the most motivated athletes, motivation is limited. It is not something that just goes. A lot of those high level athletes, yes, they're more motivated than us, but they're more disciplined because they stick to their daily routines and habits, which brings me to my next point is we fall back on our habits. If I don't have to worry about making a decision, I just get up and I do it and I do the same thing each day. I know it sounds monotonous, but being the best, is about sticking to the basics and doing them consistently. So if we can fall back on our habits and our habits are good, we'll be doing just fine. So we're going to plan it. And here are 3 things. I'm guessing that everybody has a phone, so we can use our calendar app. Our calendar app is great. If you like digital things, I put, when I'm going to train, when I'm going to do my soccer in my calendar, and I stick to that every day. And then boom, I just get up and I do it. Some people prefer whiteboards, and that's fine. Some advantage of that is you can hang it on your wall and you walk by every day. When you wake up in the morning, well, you probably check your phone, but you see that big old whiteboard staring at you in the face that says strength training, soccer training on it, and you got to do it. And some people are old-fashioned, and they like an old-school planner, and that's fine because You got to use what works best for you. And there's also something about, you know, writing it down on paper, that motion of your hand, the feeling of the pen on paper that ingrains it in your brain a little bit more. So it doesn't matter which one you use, or maybe you use a combination of all three to really keep you on track. But make sure you plan out your day. And what your day looks like is this. I know I'm crazy, but I think you should get up by 8 o'clock. I know you're a high schooler. You need your sleep. You need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Go to bed. There ain't no reason to be up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Next, I say eat the frog. That means do the worst first. So something that's maybe not even related to soccer training, just get it done first thing so you don't procrastinate. For me, when I was in high school, that was summer reading. I left it to the end, and then I didn't like reading because I read for 4 hours every day for 2 weeks to make it up. Just 30 minutes to get it done. Right now, for me, that's yoga. I know I need to do it. I'm not good at it, so I'll procrastinate. I get up first thing in the morning, earlier than 8, and the first thing I do before I even eat breakfast is 15 minutes of yoga. And it's been hard. I'm not going to lie to you, but that's how I've been able to get it done. Then around 10 o'clock, I mean, it can be different for everybody, but 10 o'clock, I'm going to get my strength training in. 12 o'clock, I will have my lunch. You know, I get to chill during that time, 12 to 3. 3, I'm going to have a pre-training snack. And then at 4 o'clock, I'll get my soccer skills in. I eat dinner with my family around 6. 9 o'clock, I have a little pre-bedtime snack. And yep, I said it, 10 o'clock, you're in bed. Chances are you're not going to bed at 10. But like I said, you need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And if you want to get a full 10, then you got to be going to bed by 10 and waking up at 8. But the best, they don't sleep in. They wake up and they get to work. They get to work before everybody else, and they're disciplined about this. They keep the same wake up and bedtime every day. If you work a job or whatever, that's fine. You know what your schedule is. Say you work in the afternoons. Okay, well, maybe I have to push my soccer until after dinner. That's fine. But when we plan it out ahead of time, then we know what we got to do and we're able to get it done, which brings me to review it. So daily, before I go to bed, I like to look at my phone and see what my next day is going to look like. I mean, generally it's the same every day. Maybe during COVID it is, maybe when we return it's not, but I know what I need to do. We all visualize for soccer. I visualize my day. It makes me a little bit more motivated to get up when that alarm clock goes off. And weekly, I just make sure that at the end of the week, you know, did I stick to my plan? If not, what needs to be adjusted? Oh, I got a doctor's appointment this week at this time. Okay, I need to shift my training around that day. Boom, it's done. That way I don't got to worry about it. Oh, shoot, I got a doctor's appointment. Looks like I'm just going to miss soccer today. No, that's not acceptable. Plan around it and get it done. You can, again, use apps to help you out. This is an app called Momentum. It's a little habit tracker deal. Gives you a little streak on your phone. It sends you reminders. That's awesome. Or there's old school, just X off a calendar. We don't want to mess up the pattern, and that's sitting on our whiteboard where we see it. Check it off, check it off, check it off. You want to keep the streak going. You'd be surprised how much just seeing those motivates you to stick to your habits. And then the last thing here I want to talk about is accountability. And accountability, I have a mirror here, is because first it starts with ourselves. If we can't be accountable to what we have to do, stick to our schedule, we can't hold our teammates accountable. And the best teams are able to hold each other accountable, but that's going to start with yourself. So you got to be able to look in the mirror and know that you've done the work before you can look out the window and hold somebody else accountable. So it starts with you, and then it goes to your teammates. But help each other, create groups. If we can't get together right now, have a group chat, have a live workout, FaceTime. It looks like we're going to be able to get together in small groups here soon. Perfect. Get out there, get outside, stay socially distanced. But having accountability partners is huge in holding ourselves to our standards. And then last two things real quick. No excuses. When we get back, this is all on you. There hasn't been a coach here. We haven't been able to train you. We've been able to give you suggestions, workouts, check in on you. But the last thing when we return is for you to be saying, I wish I would have blank. We don't want to be sitting there saying that. We don't want to say, I wish I would have run more. I wish I would have trained more. I wish I would have gotten more touches on a ball. I wish I would have texted my teammates more. June 8th in Georgia is coming soon, but it's still a whiles away. It's not too late. If you haven't been doing anything, why wait? Start right after we get done with this meeting, but you don't want to get back and be saying, I wish I would have. But it's going to be very obvious when we get back who the dedicated and disciplined people are and who they aren't, because they will have done the work and the others will be left behind. And last, make it count. That's kind of our motto over here, because these are our seniors. I know some of them I think might be in here, but our seniors just lost their season and they didn't do anything wrong. It was out of their control. And it just is a good reminder that everything we do, we got to make it count, because you never know. And I'm not predicting the future, but you know, what if we got to take a couple weeks off? There's a spike. You want to make sure you do everything to make it count. So when we get out there, we're good to go. Or what if you haven't been making it count and you get to this showcase and now no coaches want to talk to you? Like I said, I spent my whole career in college. I was a strength coach, not a sport coach, but I know at the Citadel, our soccer coach, he was very big on recruits who worked hard and played hard. And it's going to be more obvious than ever now if you have worked hard and if you're able to play hard. And I don't know, but I can't imagine that college coaches, no matter how good you are going to be wanting to talk to the person who's cramping after 5 minutes of the first game because they weren't disciplined enough to train. I'm going to share my screen right now, and I've got about 3 minutes before I got to head to my next meeting. If anybody wants to answer questions, Coach, I apologize. I don't like to cut out, but I do have to get a meeting with our administrators regarding our return to play.
No, Coach, that's completely fine. So first, guys, I appreciate you, Coach Morgan, for coming out.
Thank you so much.
Information. I hope I don't see a lot of faces here, but we're going to see you guys in person, so just be ready for that. But I think it's important. The first thing, what we said, there's going to be over 60 colleges in attending, whether it's in person or virtually. So you guys need to be preparing now. I know some of you guys have been tagging us in social media and everything, little things you're doing, but are you really fully preparing yourself, going to sleep early, getting your nutrition in, and also staying fit? Because the first thing I'm telling you, this is for me, an experience, the college coach is going to ask myself and your coaches, are you fit? Never mind GPAs or anything. They want to see, before they see the first touch on the ball, they want to see, are you fit? And understand we have 3 training sessions ahead to prepare you for the showcase. So just get your mind right for that, and just make sure we are ready for that event. Anybody have any questions for Coach Morgan before we close? All right, well, perfect. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. Coaches, I appreciate you guys coming out too. Players who are actually in here right now, we'll set up another time where you can have a meet and greet for your coaches. But I wanted you to take some of this information because it is valuable, because your health and nutrition and your fitness is important, especially in this game of soccer.
Thank you so much, coaches. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all, and I hope that you all have a good return to sports, and I cannot wait to get back to it because I am going stir crazy, as I'm sure you are.
Yes, sir. That's right. Well, perfect, Coach. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.